Welcome
indeed.
to Attack of the Show. I am Dave Holmes.
Right there.
Thank you.
And I am Candace Bailey.
Right here.
Check it out, y'all. We have a really fun show today. Stephen Yeun from The Walking Dead.
That's right.
And I love him. I'm so excited.
He is great.
He's great. The Walking Dead is great.
I'm worried for his safety, not in real life, on the show. Also, Weston Scott is going to be here explaining, well, he's not going to be here, but he's going to be off drinking somewhere, as usual, explaining which beers are going to go best with food. The answer, of course, is all.
All beers, obviously.
Right?
Come on. Time now to run down the top things on the web.
We're going around the net.
The humans' war against wood rages on in dojos across the nation. Martial artists have been able to keep wood suppressed since the beginning of time, but it only takes one battle to turn the tide.
Sweep the leg! No, seriously, sweep it up. It's in pieces all over the floor. It's shattered.
It is, but you gotta give it to the guy. I mean, he just kept going and hitting that shit.
Yeah.
And the wood kept getting harder and harder. If
Yeah.
he wasn't gonna break the first one, wouldn't you think that he wouldn't break the last one?
You would think.
Oh.
And the rest of they did give it to him. Like, one by one, they just took the pieces away and then...
And then everybody clapped for him.
Give him a little
They pity
honorable
clapped.
mention.
Poor
Clap.
guy. Oh, at least he tried, you know? At least he tried.
Yeah, at least he'll be scarred for life.
He will.
So what else you got?
Well, I got some porn.
What? Yeah? Really?
Don't act so
With all of us
upset.
together?
Don't act so upset, y'all. Don't worry, it's porn from a kinder, more gentle era. Or at least an era where people didn't understand how computers work. Here's a 1996 video, Playboy's Girls of the Internet.
Okay, coming to you live over the internet.
And imagination is your only boundary. Playboy's Girls of the Internet.
I just started using the internet. I started out not knowing what email was.
I know. You're just like my fantasy.
Here's a little erotic interface.
You've been spending way too much time on your computer. You're absolutely right.
Hi, welcome to the internet.
Ain't that the truth?
All right, hold on. Answer me this. Was that a Playboy video from 1996, or was that a GoDaddy commercial from this year? Which one was that? That could have been any time. Also, Hugh Hefner still thinks that that's how the internet works.
Oh, I'm sure he does. What I love is that the very first girl, she's doing like sexy face, and it's like,
What is that face?
sexy? Y'all, is that sexy?
It is.
That is not sexy! What are you saying yes for? It looks like she's taking a poop. That is not a sexy face.
It does.
Next time I have a
Everyone's gotta
photo
do it.
shoot and they're like sexy face, I'm gonna be like,
I'll be like,
and they're gonna be like, where did you learn that from? And I'm gonna tell them to
Plane
look at the
ticket.
video because clearly that's sexy.
here's your plane ticket back home. Thank you for, thank you for
Exactly.
auditioning.
All right, and finally, a taste of the modern day internet. Microsoft has been running a lot of commercials to promote its newest version of Internet Explorer,
Sure.
but here's a more honest version of those ads.
You know, we tried to write a joke for this, but Microsoft Word had to download a 500 megabyte security update.
But I think we might have a Photoshop joke ready, though, okay?
Yeah. Oh. Did you turn it off and then back on? Did you reboot? Did you reset the computer? Could you?
Okay, we'll
we're out of
check back
ideas.
later in the show.
Right.
Thus concludes Around the Net.
Still ahead, Stephen Yun from The Walking Dead will be right here live.
Plus, we'll find out how police departments are using Twitter to keep people safer. So don't go anywhere. Don't do it. Stay right here. Later.
Summer may be over, but AOTS is still bringing the heat with special guest hosts like Horatio Sands, Michael Costa, John Barrowman, and Rob Hubel.
Let's catch up with what's going on in the world. If you are a meteorologist, and we know that you are, then you probably run up against this baffling conundrum. Snowstorms do billions of dollars in property damage, just like hurricanes. And just like hurricanes, they cause havoc and terror and death. So the question is this: if they're so much like hurricanes, how come they get so little TV ratings in comparison? What's up with that? You've tried everything. You've tried scary graphics. You've tried deep, fearsome colors to indicate storm intensity. Some of you have even tried to encapsulate the horror with catch-all names like Snowpocalypse or Snowmageddon 09 or my personal favorite, Transformers, Dark of the Moon. But having Michael Bay direct your weather system still doesn't seem to be enough to get butts in seats. It is a real problem. But luckily for everyone, the Weather Channel thinks they've found the missing ingredient, the one thing hurricanes have that snowstorms do not, namely names. Yeah. People need something to whisper in dread. And so they have concocted a list for the 2012 and 13 snow season with names drawn from mythology, history, or in the case of Snowstorm Q, the Broadway Express line in New York City, which is fearsome. With names like Zeus, Jove, and Magnus, snowstorms can finally be identified for what they truly are: strippers at Chippendales. Woo! Let's hope we make it to Snowstorm Jeff Timmons. Let's see if we make it through that. My sincere hope is that we do make it and we actually get all the way to the letter K, because if we do, the name of that blizzard will be Khan. Khan. My car, it's buried. Buried alive. Buried alive. It's the most cathartic thing I've ever done in my life. That should be like, I should pay you $150 an hour. Like that was a therapeutic breakthrough. For as long as there have been weekend nights, there have been two simple rules. First comes booze, then comes pizza. But now, thanks to a Boston restaurant, you can have both at the same time. It's the biggest thing to happen to drug foods since the pot brownie. Boston restaurant Salvatore's has created the 21+ pizza, a pizza made with booze, which they have to card you in order for you to eat. Not to be confused with their 18+ pizza, which is covered in pornography and the right to vote. Yum. The first of the special pies is the Vignola Cherry Pizza, which is topped with fresh mozzarella, gorgonzola, prosciutto, orange blossom honey, and Italian cherries soaked in raspberry vodka. Yum. Don't worry about getting wasted, though. There's not enough alcohol to get you drunk unless you eat like 20 slices. But, you know, then again, this is America, so designated driver if you're going to Salvatore's. And if for some reason raspberries and cherries don't appeal to you, keep an eye out for their upcoming pizzas. These are real. The Drunken Pig with braised pork marinated in Kahlua, which actually sounds kind of tasty, and the Calabria Peach featuring rum-infused peaches. Oh, and also the It Doesn't Matter What We Put on This Pie Since You're Coming Here for a Gimmick with anchovies. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen of Twitter, pack up your beer pong and leave the apartment because the cops are here. The Seattle Police Department is taking to Twitter, and not in the usual law enforcement sense where they just subpoena your private messages and track your mobile devices without warrants. The Thin Blue Line of the Emerald City has just launched 51 neighborhood-specific Twitter accounts that will automatically tweet crimes and incidents to the areas in which they happened. It's actually a great way for the police to be transparent about what they're up to, and it's also a great way for them them to scare the living crap out of you. Do you have any idea how much crime happens in cities like Seattle? The answer is all of it. All of the crime. And I'm not just talking about Seattle-specific crimes like false organic labeling of kale, Sasquatch dumpster rummaging, or intentional mellow harshing. Boy, that guy's mellow got harshed, like super extra hard. He will never recover. He should scream con. It'll make him feel better. No, I am talking about actual crimes. And excuse me, but that's one area of my life where I would prefer to be cloaked in ignorance. If I knew how much crime was actually going on in my neighborhood, I would probably just barricade myself inside my apartment and watch old episodes of Bachelor Pad until I starved to death. Which is not far off what I actually do in real life. And listen, I am all for police being open and honest with us civilians, but if this ever makes it down to LA, I would rather they just tweet us when they've solved all the crimes. You know what I mean? Like something like, hey, Dave, it's okay, at Dave Holmes, we got all the bad guys, crime is over, you can come outside again. Still ahead, Sergeant Sean Whitcomb of the Seattle Police Department is going to tell me more about the project. That is coming up right after this.
Comic-Con is descending upon New York City, and G4 will be there October 11th through the 14th. We'll have limited edition Attack of the Show gear, free giveaways, and exclusive signings each day with Blair Butler, Jessica Chobot, Blair Herter, Grace Helbig, and more. Visit g4tv.com/NYCC for more info.
Welcome back to Attack of the Show. Before the break, we were talking about how Seattle has turned Twitter into a modern-day police blotter. Here to tell us more about it, please welcome Sergeant Sean Whitcomb of Seattle PD. Welcome, Sergeant Whitcomb.
Thanks for having me on the program.
Thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about this program. What are you hoping to do with the Tweets by Beat program?
So in Seattle, we've got a main Twitter feed. It's at Seattle PD. And we do a lot of breaking news, shootings, weird animals that are on the loose. We had an albino python that escaped in one of our popular parks in North Seattle.
Oh.
So we like to use that to keep the community informed.
Okay.
But there's so many different things that the police department does on a regular basis that really slips through the cracks, and we want to make sure that people who live in the many different neighborhoods in Seattle are being kept up to speed on the different things that are happening, whether it be barking dogs, public intoxication, burglaries, or even robberies on the street corner. Right. So we've taken 51 different Twitter feeds, and they're broken down by police beats, right? So if you live in one neighborhood, you're getting information that's relevant to your neighborhood. You don't necessarily need to worry about the burglaries or car prowls that are happening across the city.
Right.
But if something's happening a couple of blocks from your home, you probably want to be a little bit more concerned and talk to your neighbors about it.
Right. I love the hierarchy of crimes that go on in Seattle. Starts with shootings, then loose animals, then everything else. What's the deal with all the loose animals up in Seattle? Are you having a problem with it?
You know, we did just have this sheep that we caught roaming the city. Fortunately, we were able to reunite it with its owner. I think we were delayed a little bit because we thought it was a goat initially.
Oh, I see. I see. Good Lord, nothing but loose animals up there. It's like northern exposure. Now, do you have any special rules or guidelines about what sorts of crimes you're going to tweet about?
Yeah, so the balance for us is we want to make sure it's keeping people informed, that they can be educated about crimes that are happening, but we also want to make sure that we're sensitive about some of the crimes that go out. So there are a few that we don't. And domestic violence, child abuse, sexual assault, we feel that it's important enough to the victims to have that one element of privacy so that all their neighbors aren't necessarily informed. So these things we do hold back. Obviously, if we've got a person who's exposing themselves at the playfield or a serial rapist on the loose, that's important enough for us to share that information with the community. And that's why we still use our main account to put out a lot of this information. Right.
Now, is there any concern that you're tweeting about homicides or bank robberies or things that might make Seattle seem a little more dangerous than it really is?
You know, that's feedback we get a lot, actually. It's balanced with, wow, I'm really glad to know that, but geez, I didn't know so much stuff happened in the city. We're a really big city. We've got over 600,000 people living here. We handle hundreds of thousands of calls a year. Ultimately, when we stack up against the other major cities in the country, we're actually very, very safe. So what this does is it gives people a little bit of context. And if you're in a neighborhood in Seattle that maybe there's been some high-profile shootings, it should be pretty comforting to know that there's even more minor theft and parking complaints and traffic collisions like fender benders and that sort of thing, to really to add to it, to provide that context so people don't feel like they live in a dangerous neighborhood. They just are more informed and can make good decisions about how they go about their daily business.
Right. Minor theft is often so comforting. Now who is doing the actual...
Well, it depends on whose bike it was, right?
That's true, that's true. Now, who's doing... Touche. Who is doing the actual tweeting in this program?
So I'd like to be able to tell you that it's Hal's sister, but it actually is just an automated feed that comes from our crime mapping program. Ultimately, we decided that it was really smart for us to have some kind of automated solution. We already have the information populating our crime map. In fact, most cities have some sort of crime mapping application. So the information that goes to our crime map, we were able to reroute into all these different Twitter streams. And people can, like a menu, pick which feeds that they want. So if you live in one part of the city, you work in another part, and your children go to school in yet a third part, you can follow all of those different feeds. And maybe if you live on the border of two beats, you follow two of them just to see what's going on so you don't miss anything.
Right. Sounds like you're making Seattle safer. I hope it catches on across the country. Many thanks, Sergeant Sean Whitcomb of the Seattle PD, for being here.
Thanks for having me.
We appreciate it. Best of luck with it. And now we turn to Weston Scott, who's going to class things up with some food and beer pairings.
So for the last several days, we've partied at Oktoberfest. We've gotten to see what makes Cincinnati chili so great. And we're going to cap off this trip with a stop at the biggest brew pub in the nation, Moerlein Lager House.
This is a massive state-of-the-art brew pub with 3 kitchens, a 5,000-barrel brewing capacity, and 28,000 square feet of bar and restaurant space. Moerlein Lager House has quickly become revered as one of the highlights of the Cincinnati food and beer community. Today I have the privilege of pairing food and beer with brewmaster Richard Dubé.
Richard, where are we right now, other than someplace that is really shiny?
This is where everything is being brewed. Everything that has the Christian Moerlein tap in the Lager House is brewed right here on site. This is our Lager House Helles.
It's very crisp. It's not overly hoppy. I have a slight bitterness with a little floral at the end. I can't think of something I wouldn't pair this with.
Well, you're absolutely right. You know, when we're talking about food pairing, basically, there's no such thing as rules or, you know, mathematical equation to come up with something. But at the end of the day, it's either compare, contrast, complement, or emphasize. And when people are asking me, so what's your favorite beer? Well, I said, it depends of the weather, my mood, and what I'm going to have to eat.
Richard, all this talk about food and about pairing makes me want to cut to the chase and get right to it.
I have a few great suggestions for you.
You just lead the way, sir, and I will follow.
Moerlein Lager House approaches pairing differently by recommending a beer first, then digging into the food.
This is the Exposition Vienna Lager. Alcohol volume for the Expo, you're talking about 5.4% alcohol. But the beauty here is to balance the sweet maltiness of the Vienna Lager with the spicy food. It's going to be beautiful with the shrimp.
Starts off a little sweet, gets that creamy mouthfeel in there, and then boom, at the end, a little bit of bitter, wakes you up, and makes you either want to take a bite of food or have another drink.
Okay, this is by far one of my favorite, okay? It's called Tampico shrimp. It's basically huge shrimp that have been just marinated with basil and some oils. And then you have quartered quesadillas with cheese. And then you have a beautiful risotto with jalapeno and corn.
I'm getting some of that spice right off the bat from the shrimp. It's got a kick to it automatically. Makes you want to go right to the beer.
That's the idea. That's exactly
ingenious, sir. Ingenious.
The beef stroganoff is very, very nice. It's very hearty. It's braised beef tip with red wine, with a very rich and creamy sauce attached to it, and some Parmesan Asiago cheese and linguine. I pair this with our Northern Liberties IPA, a little bit more alcohol. So now you're talking about more like closer to 6.2, 6.4 ABV.
Okay, we're going to get the warmth then.
Exactly.
That is beautiful. That is like a hop wake-up. Now, I usually don't steer towards IPAs, but this...
It's not over the top.
No, not at all.
It's an ale, okay? So therefore, the ale yeast will give it a lot of esters, fruity character. You smell it, and you bring it to your mouth, and you get the middle.
Right off the bat. The stroganoff, it's got the creamy, the butterness, and everything like that. You take a drink of the IPA, it rinses away. You have a citrus, you have a little bit of grapefruit taste, a crisp, clean feel in the mouth, a little bit of a bitter finish. You get the hops, and then you get to start all over again with the stroganoff. Perfect pairing. This guy's hitting it out of the park right now.
This is our Barbarossa, a Munich Dunkel. Barbarossa is actually a lager. So therefore, instead of being multi-layered like an ale, like a stout, it's fairly unidimensional in the sense that the yeast itself doesn't give you much, but you emphasize the malt. You have a kind of a chocolate first note, and then there's some sweetness that attached to it.
That is delivering everything that you said. I'm getting a little bit of the chocolatey with a little coffee, like a little coffee malt taste. Sweet, right off the bat. The cake is buttery and flaky. It's got a nice like cinnamon, like kind of almost like coffee cake topping. And then you have a caramel ice cream with this almond crisp over here, and it's all piled with a
kind of an apple.
Like an apple filling.
Strudel there.
Yeah,
in the middle.
And then you have the caramel drizzled all around. So a lot of people right off the bat would think, beer, not for dessert. Not true. Here, Richard has shown me that it's a perfect pairing between something sweet like this pastry and something delicious like this beer, and the balance that they create going together. Nice job, my friend. Nice job.
Merci beaucoup.
What he said. Well, it's been a great trip. Amazing food, delicious beer. My hat's off to you, Cincinnati. Cheers.
All the news you need to know.
It's Thursday, October 4th, and here are your top stories. First up, Facebook has topped 1 billion users. That's like 1/7 of the world's population, but the company's still pulling a few shenanigans. Yeah. First of all, your private messages are not as private as you think. Facebook is actually scanning them. It's looking for links with likable pages. So when you send friends a video, article, or, well, anything with a Facebook page, you're giving that page an anonymous like, no button click required. So keep this in mind next time you share. Also, if it seems like one of your friends is always at the top of your news feed, it could be because they're paying for it. What? Facebook is now letting users pay to promote their posts to their friends, just like advertisers. This feature was recently released to more than 20 countries, including the United States. Word is it will cost $7 for each update you want to promote, or about 11,000 Farmville coins. In other news, British engineers are working on a rocket-powered car that they expect will shatter the current land speed record, and yesterday its engine passed its first test. Dubbed the Bloodhound SSC, the rocket produced 14,000 pounds of thrust, the equivalent of about 40,000 horsepower. To put this in perspective, a NASCAR Sprint Cup race car only has about 750 horsepower. But what's even more unbelievable is this isn't even half of the total amount of horsepower the car will have once it's finished. Engineers expect it to top 135,000 horsepower when it's completed. That means
the Bloodhound will have the power of 180 NASCAR racers. The current land speed record is 763 miles per hour, but scientists expect the Bloodhound will hit a top speed just over 1,000 miles per hour. Yeah, we'll see what happens when it's tested next year. And for all of you with Time Warner Cable, you might have gotten a notice about this, but in case you didn't, you should know they're going to start charging you $4 rental fee, $4 rental fee for your cable modem every month. But you can avoid this simply by purchasing a modem for yourself. If you want to go that route, Time Warner is offering a list of approved modems on their website. Some are as cheap as $50, which will pay for itself in about a year, and more importantly, is $50 less you have to pay to Time Warner. And finally, yippee-ki-yay, mother cluckers! The Cluckers, Bruce Willis is back as the wisecracking cop, John McClane. The first teaser for A Good Day to Die Hard, right here. Check it out.
.007 of Plainfield, New Jersey.
A Good Day to Die Hard will be in theaters on February 14th. I'm Sarah Underwood, and you have just been fed. Stay tuned. Steven Yeun from The Walking Dead will be here live. Hey, he doesn't have a crossbow, does he? Does he? All right, good.
It's yet another day, yet another zombie horde to fight off.
Don't break rank! Almost there.
Welcome back.
Thank you for having me again. This is awesome.
Zombies in riot gear? Did I just see that?
I know. They're
what
resourceful.
The hell?
It's cool. I mean, that prison is gnarly. I mean, it's the first time that prison's been kind of looked at, right. And these people died in their clothes.
Yeah.
And
okay.
That makes sense.
Got that zombie virus.
Yeah.
So you, in the comics, not to spoil too much, but you have a pretty good run. Do you worry about, because the show has now diverged a bit from the comics, do you just read each page of your script in terror?
You know, typically they're nice about letting you know ahead of time.
Yeah.
They'll let you know personally, but sometimes they won't let you know as like if another cast member is going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I found out that Jeff DeMunn was going last year, Dale, while I was taking a number 2.
Wow. This is the number 2-iest episode of the show ever.
Yeah, it was. You know, you read. That's where you read most of the time.
Sure.
And if you're gonna read scripts, that's where you read scripts.
Right.
Because you get, you know, you're into it. But then I remember turning that last page, and was a sad state of events.
Yeah.
On many levels.
Yeah. So it must be, I mean, on the show, the characters have a rough time because they're losing their compatriots, but you're also kind of losing your friends in a way. They're gone from Atlanta.
Yeah,
right?
no, it's terrible. I mean, Jeff DeMunn and John and I were really tight. Losing
that would
him,
be
Shane.
That would
Shane,
be
John
Shane.
Bernthal.
If you haven't seen last season, sorry, everybody.
Oh,
It's
crap.
okay. It's okay. You know what? You should be quicker on it anyway.
Okay.
Right?
But, I mean, losing them is tough, and it's life imitating art in a way, which is really great, because Jeff, to me, was actually Dale, to me in real life. You know, he took me under his wing for a season, was like, hey, let me teach you some things if you need it, ask me any questions, and then when he went, he really went, so that sucked.
Yeah. Have you been practicing your zombie shuffle just in case?
Never.
No? Good. Never say die.
Never say die.
Never say die, Stephen Yeun.
Exactly. Once you get that down, then they're just going to use it because you're so good at it.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Now, I heard that you recently went to Dragon Con.
I did go to Dragon Con.
Yeah. People go a little crazy there with the costumes.
Yeah, a little bit.
I've been told that I'm about to see something that might scar me forever.
If you want to see grotesque humanoid versions of your favorite characters from your childhood,
I don't at all.
Then this is it.
Okay. Who are they, and how did you meet them? And
It's Bert and Ernie.
Yeah.
And there's these two guys. Not only is it Bert and Ernie, but it's aged Bert and Ernie. It's so nasty. But I met those two guys just walking down the halls, and I tweeted the picture, and they tweeted back, and they're from a really awesome makeup company, like a creative company, and that's disgusting. So
that's awful. That's awful. I seriously, I'm not going to get to sleep tonight.
It's so horrible.
Those two they're upsetting. They're upsetting. Before acting, you wanted to be a doctor, correct?
Wanted to be? That's a question.
Well, you almost went down the road of being a doctor.
That was those were my parents' wishes.
I feel you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I didn't go that way. I ended up here somehow. I have no idea.
That's great. That's good. It's good to be here.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And you came here by way of Second City in Chicago?
I did Second City.
You're an improv nerd? I love that.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness. You know, being from Chicago, that was maybe some of my best experiences ever. I mean, this show is great, but, I mean, doing live theater is hands down amazing.
There's nothing like it.
Yeah.
There's nothing like it. And you improvised books growing up? I understand. You wrote some sort of fake fraudulent book reports.
Do you know?
I'm just telling you what I heard.
Do you know Book It?
I remember Book It.
You remember Book It?
Yeah.
You know Book It?
You guys remember Book It?
Yeah. Oh my God. I robbed Pizza Hut.
Yeah. Now the program was you have to write book reports.
You have to read a book and write a book report on it, and then you have this button where you get stars for every book that you did a book report on. You get 5 of them, and you get a free personal pan pizza.
Oh, come on.
I got a lot of personal pan pizzas.
All right.
And I didn't read as many books as needed to get a lot of those personal pan pizzas.
So you just made some up?
Yeah, if anything, it was a really nice way of creatively writing.
Yeah. I mean, you're a hot commodity right now. Have you tried to pitch those ideas? You could probably sell them now.
I think they're just amalgamations of 2 books, like Where the Red Fern Grows and like some other random, like a Boxcar Children book. I just mashed them together.
That's what sells, Stephen Yeun. Get it out there.
Boxcar Children.
Get it out there. And you grew up in Detroit, Michigan, right?
Troy, Michigan. If I say Detroit, then they're like, no, you're not really from Detroit.
Right. You'll get angry tweets.
Yeah, I'm a suburbanite. So,
Gotcha.
Yeah, I'll admit that.
And the family business? What
family business was beauty supplies in downtown Detroit. And they still have them, and the communities are amazing. And my parents are really, really friendly people, and so they try to make friends with like the local community, treat them right, you know, like just kind of give deals and stuff like that. And they ended up making, it's a good story, they ended up making friends with the local gang on accident. I mean, they weren't like, hey, local gang, where are you? Let's hook up.
Let's hang out.
You know what I mean?
Let's go bowling.
Yeah, let's chill. They just, you know, because they would come in and my parents would just, you know, treat them nicely, you know. And they looked out for my parents. And there's this one time my dad, this guy in the store stole this woman's purse, was running out, and my dad grabbed him and he elbowed my dad in the face. Oh. And the gang was hanging out on the corner across the street, and they saw it, ran over, all like 10 of them, grabbed the dude, beat the crap out of him, and my dad had to pull him out. And in like the same week, My dad had an impromptu umbrella rubbing alcohol fight. It's exactly what it sounds like.
Okay.
This guy stole something, and my dad was like, hey, you can't steal that in the way you would. And then the guy was like, well, if you won't let me steal it, I'm going to take out this umbrella that you're also selling and try to hit you with it.
Oh.
And so my dad took out another umbrella, and then they did one of these. And then the guy, like, opened rubbing alcohol and tried to throw it at my dad. It's crazy.
Your dad is a badass. You come from a long line of badasses.
Yeah.
That's great.
My dad he's a tough one.
Excellent. So in closing, Stephen Yeun, tell me everything that happens in the next season of The Walking Dead.
How much time do we have?
Just as much as you need. Go.
Okay.
Go. Now. He can't do it. He can't do it.
Sorry.
AMC.
I want to be...
AMC will torture him.
Have a job. I want to have a job.
But thank you for coming, Stephen Yeun.
Thank you for having me.
Stephen Yeun, The Walking Dead. New season premieres October 14th on AMC. Thank you so much for being here. Now over to Candace.
Thank you, Dave. So excited. Still ahead, interviewing Liam Neeson is a scary thing. Is Grace helping up to the challenge? Yeah. I guess you're going to have to find out after this. All right. Every 2 years, someone close to Liam Neeson is abducted?
That's right, Candace. Here's what you can do to help.
Hey, world, you keep on messing with Liam Neeson and his family and getting your ass kicked. You'd think you'd learn your lesson by now, but no. Taken 2 just happened, and this time you messed with his wife. Ho-ho! You are so dead. Okay, now you and the people around you seem prone to abductions. So how long do you think I have before someone runs in here and throws a bag over my head and throws me in a van?
Don't worry, I'm going to look after you. It's not going to happen.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
People are going to come for you too.
What are you going to do?
What I do best.
Taken itself was such a unique movie. How do you even try and top it?
Well, I didn't think we could. I thought the first film was terrific, you know, fast-paced. When the writers came, Luc Besson, with this idea of a possible scenario set in Istanbul, I thought, okay, maybe there's something here. Welcome to Istanbul.
Istanbul is an ancient city, so what were the shooting limitations there?
Many, actually. The streets are about as wide as this room, and we have Mercedes-Benz car chases going up.
Yeah, a lot of them. And I heard that the chase scene on the roof, they weren't allowed to use cranes or cables.
Yeah, there's some tradition with the tiles on these roofs. If a tile breaks, it's left in that place, but it's also, you're not allowed to disturb it. So there were no cranes allowed up, so we had to use these little tiny helicopters with special little cameras attached, you know.
The fighting in this movie was pretty badass. And I hear that the fight coordinator was an actual field agent.
Yes, he was, yeah.
So what kind of stuff did he teach you or train you with?
If I tell you, I have to kill you.
Okay, so...
But it was pretty intense hand-to-hand combat stuff we had to use and practice at every night after we finished rapping. We found a room in the hotel or a gym and beat the out of each other for a couple of hours.
Go, go, go!
It was definitely a lot of father-daughter bonding. There's sniping, she's throwing grenades.
Don't spoil it now for your audience.
Oh, I won't. There's other things that happen that I won't talk about. But is this the CIA version of Take Your Daughter to Work Day?
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
Casual Friday.
Come on, faster!
There's got to be a safer way for your daughter to follow in your footsteps, right? Taken 2. Killing is just in their blood.
Matt Myra's here. Hello.
Hello, Dave.
What you got for us today?
I just want to let everyone know that the audience was clapping, and then they got sad when Gadget Pro started playing and said we wasted it.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're looking.
You'll get more.
We're looking at a gadget that's been out for a couple months, but we really wanted to get our hands on it. It's Nintendo's updated handheld, the 3DS XL.
Wow.
Handheld gaming just got a lot bigger with the new Nintendo 3DS XL. This updated system has 90% more screen than the previous model. It also has a fresh new design and improved battery life. This new 3DS XL can be yours for $200.
That's right, the video did not lie. This is a fresh new design.
It is fresh.
Why did I say that? Here it is. It's just an extra large version of the Nintendo DS 3D. However, I will say the added size helps with comfort. The button layout's more spread out, so you don't get the cramps that you're used to getting on the little guy. Much more playable for a longer period of time. There's only one analog stick on here. Nintendo. There's a D-pad, 4 action buttons, and in the back there are 2 trigger buttons. Second display is also used to put information in, so you can hit this a bunch of times, a bunch of different ways, and stuff happens.
Oh, interesting. The screen is a lot bigger than on the last model. Is that going to affect the 3D at all?
Well, the screen is actually, I think it's a perfect, truly immersive experience when you're looking at it head-on 3D. It's nearly double the original size of the Nintendo 3DS. The PS Vita screen is 5 inches. That's the top of the portable gaming heap. But the XL is a screen just under 4.9 inches, right? Pretty good.
Yeah.
Not quite as big. Resolution does not seem to be all that different from the little guy, so what you're left with is some pixely images and sort of a noticeable, jagged feel.
Sure.
Did you see that? You played
I did.
a little bit, yeah.
I did.
But
it just, it felt blown up.
Yeah, I was like, nah.
Yeah.
However, as far as the 3D is concerned, I found it to be much better because it's a larger screen, so you don't have to stare directly in one place. You don't have to essentially wear a neck brace to use it.
Right. Now, the big complaint on the last one was the battery. Has the battery improved at all?
It has indeed, Dave. The battery's bigger, but it's powering 2 bigger screens, so you're not going to get a huge bump in battery life. You're going to be about 4 hours of constant play. And if you can look at this thing for 4 hours, God bless you. Go for it. It's a small improvement over the little guy, so it's 4 hours opposed to like 3.5.
Right.
Yeah.
I know we both had a chance to play with it a little bit. I played a little, some Super Mario Brothers 2.
Yeah.
And I found that I really did have to have it right here.
Not like classic Super Mario Bros. 2. A crappier version of Super Mario Bros. 2. Yeah, it is weird. You do have to sort of like lock in.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just going to be...
It looks a bit like those postcards that you turn like this a little bit, and then the lady moves or whatever.
The lady moves?
The lady moves or the
Where'd you go?
trees sway.
Where'd you go see the lady moves?
I guess Hawaii? I don't know.
Fair enough. I'll take it. Yeah, but the 3D on the Super Mario game, it's a scrolling game, so the 3D doesn't really help with anything.
That didn't help.
Except for your headache.
Exactly.
Now, Resident Evil, on the other hand, that's a pretty cool game to watch in 3D.
Right.
However, there's no second analog stick, so you're just kind of left turning to the side. It's like how Batman moved before his cowl could turn.
Yeah.
Just like, oh, let me just move my entire body this way and see if there's anyone dead over here.
Yeah.
Oh, there is.
It was a little funky, but I have to tell you, the display was beautiful, and the 3D I found on Resident Evil really worked. It really helped. You became immersed.
But luckily, you can turn the 3D off and make it much more playable.
That is true. That is true. So the Nintendo 3DS XL, $199. Yep. What's your verdict?
We are giving it 3 out of 5, kids. 3 out of 5. This is what the 3DS should have been in the first place. The resolution on the screen should be better. There's a lot of games that are really crying out for a second analog stick. Bottom line, if you're looking for a portable gaming device, as of right now, the PS Vita is the way to go.
Well, there
but
it
this
is.
is pretty good.
All right. Thank you, Matt Myra.
Thank you, Dave.
That is it for today's Gadget Prom.
That thing was just a headache waiting to happen for me.
Yeah.
I could
Instant
not.
headache.
I couldn't
Instant
do it.
headache.
Did you get a headache?
A little bit, yeah.
I'm not even going to try.
It's fancy and cool.
Not even going to happen.
It's fancy and cool. It's too many buttons.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And like tiny ones.
And only one little stick. Not worth it.
Well, Candace has spoken.
Yo, I didn't mean it like that. I always say things like that. Why do I always just dig my own... Oh, God, okay. Thanks to Stephen Young. You go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, Seattle PD Sergeant Sean Whitcomb, Grace Helbig.
Wesley Scott, Sarah Underwood.